Welcome back, everybody. Today's topic is what is a living trust. This is one of the most commonly recommended devices in all of estate planning, and it's something that a lot of people have some misconceptions about. So we're going to talk about a few of the kind of essential elements of a living trust, the basics of legally what's going on, what's it useful for, what's it not useful for. So as always, if you're enjoying these videos, like the video, hit a subscribe to the channel, click the little alarm bell that's over there, and let's get started. First of all, what is a living trust? Well, you could teach an entire law school class on this, but I will be very brief and say that a trust in general is the severance of legal title from beneficial title, meaning person A holds the legal title to assets, but those assets are managed for the benefit of person B. Person A is the trustee, person B is the beneficiary. There's also a third person in there, the person that contributed the assets to the trust in the first place, called the settlor or the grantor. Now, what is a living trust and why is it special? Well, a living trust, also known as a probate avoidance trust or a revocable trust, a whole lot of flexibility. And the trust can be revoked at any time, hence revocable trust. And the trust is only in place for as long as you're living, hence living trust. These are all just different words for the same thing. Fundamentally, a living trust is used to put assets into to avoid probate and gain a little bit of privacy. How does this happen? Well, say you form a living trust, a revocable trust, a probate avoidance trust. Remember, same thing. That trust has a whole bunch of assets. You take assets that are titled in your personal name and you transfer them to the trust, for which you are both the trustee and the beneficiary. However, you have what's called a successor trustee and a successor beneficiary, meaning that when you pass, when you die, that successor trustee steps into the shoes, manages the trust for the benefit of the successor beneficiary. Now, that successor beneficiary will be, say, your children, a charity, your brother, your sister, your parents, whoever it may be, the people that would have been named in your will, for example. And then when you pass, rather than having to go to probate and mess around with the court, those assets in the trust automatically transfer. You don't have to go to court. There's no public court filing, so everything's a lot more private. And the assets automatically transfer without a whole lot of opportunity for contesting. As we were talking about earlier, one of the names for a living trust is a probate avoidance trust, which shockingly allows you to avoid probate. Anyone who's ever had to mess with probate before can tell you that it's somewhat expensive, a lot less expensive than dying without a will, but somewhat expensive, and time consuming, just generally a little bit of a hassle. A living trust allows you to bypass that process entirely. A probate, frequently what happens is immediately after the probate is filed, tons of mail will arrive offering to buy your dead relative's house and blah, 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 blah. Nobody wants to mess with that. And really, nobody wants to put the world on notice that they're trying to get rid of a whole bunch of assets. Maybe you want to do it quietly. Maybe you want to do it with a little bit of privacy. Also, the privacy benefits are not only for when you die. The privacy benefits of a revocable trust or living trust already accrued during your lifetime, because you can name the living trust anything you want. You can name it something completely non sequitur, and it's going to be a lot more difficult to look up what assets you own because your name will not be shared with the name of that trust. Now, could somebody figure out if they really wanted to? Yeah, there are ways to do it, but it makes it a lot harder. It gives you a lot more privacy. We've talked about that in a couple of other videos. This is one of the ways to get decent privacy out of the legal system. Another reason that you might want to do a living trust is it's a lot more flexible. There's certain things that you can do with a living trust that you can't really do in a will, but a trust, no problem. Now we've briefly covered why you might want to do a trust. Let's talk about some of the downsides of this type of trust. A living trust, because it's revocable, unfortunately does not offer really any protection at all from creditors. So to the extent that what you're looking for with forming your trust is to get a trust that's going to shield your assets from creditors, lawsuits, judgments, that kind of thing, a revocable trust or a living trust will not do that. Because it is revocable and you can pull the assets out at any time, creditors can also force you to pull the assets out at any time. It's not going to get any protection. On the other hand, an irrevocable trust, and there are many different kinds, it's a subject for another video, an irrevocable trust can provide you a lot of protection against creditors. Another thing that a living trust will not really do is it won't really provide many tax benefits. From a tax perspective, having a living trust is essentially identical to just not having a trust at all. Now, there's not necessarily anything wrong with either of those two downsides. They're not any worse than holding the assets into your individual name. There are many different kinds of trusts, each with its own variations and individual little things that you can do, levers that you can pull, switches that you can switch. If you're looking for a tax advantage or if you're looking to shield assets from creditors, a living trust might not be for you. However, if you're just looking to avoid probate, looking to get a little bit more privacy, get a little bit more flexibility in the distribution of your assets after you pass, then a living trust might be a really good option for you. If you have any other questions, feel free to give us a call. I hope that this video has been helpful. Again, give a like and subscribe, and we'll see y'all next time. Thanks for tuning in.